Hey everybody, welcome back to Our Liberty House. This is Lucas, and today it's a very exciting video I've been thinking about for a long time. Everybody's favorite thing, talking tomatoes. We're going to do a tomato review of all of the tomatoes that we're growing this year. We're going to talk about, what the plant growth is like. We're going to talk about how much fruit they set per cluster, talk about different, diseases or things we've seen, problematic stuff. And then finally, we're going to do a taste test of each individual tomato and kind of show you the ins and outs of what they look like. And then I'll give you my review of what they taste like. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Let's get going. Okay, the first thing I want to do is kind of show you guys each tomato we're growing, where the seeds are coming from, and give you a little bit of idea what they look like from the fruit size and structure. So the first one I want to go over is this black Krim. It is a seed we got from a seed exchange program. It's from Renee's Garden. It's an heirloom black Krim tomato. It's a large, slicing type tomato. Looks really pretty. So we'll see what this one tastes like, and I'll show you guys the fruit. You can see these are really large fruit clusters. Like, it's setting large amounts of fruit per cluster, which is kind of rare for like the size of a tomato. We also haven't seen any issues with blossom end rot or blight or anything else that you sometimes see with a heirloom variety tomato. So it's been a very healthy and heavy producing plant. The second one is a San Marzano from San Diego Seed Company. These are your stereotypical kind of Roma variety paste tomatoes, good for making sauce. So this is kind of what, an average fruit looks like as far as size. Heavy producers. You can see here just big old clusters of fruit, really, like I said, heavy producers. We do have some blossom end rot problems with this variety, but they make up for it in the the size of the fruit clusters. They definitely produce 4 to 8 different tomatoes per fruit cluster. Here's another view from the back. Just absolutely prolific producer. Just wish we could figure out that blossom end rot problem, but great sauce tomato for us in the long term. The third one is a beefsteak tomato. I was a little bit surprised when I hear beefsteak. I think of a larger size tomato, but this is the fruit we've been setting, about the right, this size fruits. This was actually a clearance tomato from Lowe's, like 50 cents for a pack of seeds. So we figured we'd try it. Here you see the beefsteaks. Good fruit clusters, maybe like 3 to 4, which is good for a large slicing tomato. This bed doesn't get a ton of sun, and we got 2 plants here, and the heat kind of set it back, but it's definitely grown to the top. We let it sucker out. It is setting quite a bit of fruit, so definitely happy with it, considering the conditions that we had. Just not as big as we had thought the beefsteaks would be. The fourth one is just our cherry tomato variety. It's a large red cherry tomato that we're growing. This is also from San Diego Seed Company. Very prolific producer. Large tomatoes. We'll kind of get into what we think of the good and the bads of this, but super prolific producer, heavy grower. You can see here it's our tallest tomato by far. It grows no matter how hot it is, how cold it is. It sets fruit nonstop. Big clusters, that's why we like it. Just wish it was a little bit sweeter, a little bit more poppable, but it's a great tomato. Here's another view of it. You can see just those big, normal cherry cluster tomatoes. The last one, kind of like our fun tomato that we've been growing the last 2 seasons, is this green zebra. You can see it has some green stripes on it. It turns a little yellow. That's kind of like your trigger to know it's ripe. Super sweet, very delicious tomato. Pretty good producer as well. Here's the seed packet from San Diego Seed Company. You see here, it sets pretty good fruit. Like even through this heat wave we had last week, it is still producing. It gets pretty tall. Definitely a good tomato. We're excited. So those are the 5 tomato varieties that we're growing here in our tomato tunnel that I'm sitting in right now, as well as we have some on a vertical trellis, the beefsteak tomatoes, as we're growing in a separate bed. Okay, now that I've kind of gone over, what each plant looks like, how much fruit they're setting per cluster, how tall they're getting, how prolific growers they are, these are all indeterminate tomatoes, so they're just going to keep growing over this trellis. Kind of some faster than others and some larger fruit clusters than others. Now's the exciting part. I want to do a little bit of a taste test. Now, let me be completely honest with you guys. I'm probably not the best one to do this because I'm not a huge raw tomato fan. As much as I love growing tomatoes, I prefer them, cooked in different applications. So I'm going to go over each tomato, give a little taste test. Could be a little fun. So I'm going to go smallest to largest. Seems like an easy way to do it. So the first one I'm going to do again is this large cherry tomato. I'll cut it in half here and show you guys. It's a very meaty cherry tomato. You can see there's not a lot of pulp. It's mostly flesh and meat of this tomato. They're pretty big. They're a little bit bigger than your like super sweet 100s or your sun gold. I think next year we might try a different variety, but prolific producer, like you saw, just tons of fruit. It produces through heat, everything. So it's still a very good tomato. Let's give it a try. Like I said, very tomato, very meaty. Not super sweet, like very acidic, but still has a touch of sweetness to it, but very meaty, good tomato. We actually put a bunch of these in sauce last year, and the sauce held up great because it wasn't like super pulpy or watery. So that's the large red cherry. The second one I'm gonna do is the San Marzano. Now traditionally this is a sauce tomato or a paste tomato, but we cut them up and put them in salads all the time. One of the downsides of this tomato I haven't been super happy with. I don't know if it's the variety, this seed from San Diego Seed Company, or if it's just a variety problem, but we've had a lot of blossom end rot problems. You can see this one, definitely blossom end rotted. We probably messed up and added a little bit too much nitrogen to our fertilizer while they were setting fruit, which is, big cause of not making calcium available for those blossoms. But none of our other tomatoes are having blossom end rot problems. It's only this San Marzano. And we've had quite a few that are either lost to blossom end rot or we have to cut it off and eat right away. But it's still a super prolific tomato. Like it sets huge fruit clusters. So let's give this one a try. I'll probably cut it in half here so you can see a cross section. Again, a very meaty tomato, not a lot of pulp. They do have a pretty large green core in there that, if you're going to make sauce, I'd recommend, trying to cut those out just so it doesn't create an extra bitterness to your sauce. But good sized fruits. They do get a little bit bigger than this one. Some of them were a little bit smaller. Very meaty though. Great, still a great sauce tomato. So let's cut a little cross section off here and give it a try. See, this one tastes more like a pasta sauce. It's a delicious tomato. That's why I really like it. I wish we could figure out the blossom end rot problems. I don't think it's a soil issue because none of the other tomato plants have been having issue with blossom end rot, but still a delicious tomato. I'm super excited to make a bunch of sauce out of this. at the end of the year, we usually freeze a bunch of our San Marzanos and then make a big batch of sauce to can for the year. It's a delicious tomato, coming from somebody who doesn't absolutely love raw tomato. I'll even a little more. All right, the green zebra. This one is probably the tomato that like changed me for eating raw tomatoes. We grew it for the first time last year. It's fun to look at. It's fun to grow. It's just something a little bit different you can add to your repertoire in your garden, but they are so sweet. It's like eating candy. I hope this one lives up to the hype I just gave it. All right, traditionally I'd slice it the other way, but I kind of want you guys to see the inside. This one is a little bit more of a pulpy tomato, traditional, like a slicing style tomato. A lot more pulp, but still quite a bit of meat in there. So let's give it a little slice. I'm actually going to go a little bit bigger here. So this is the green zebra. This instantly like sugars in your mouth. Like this is a super sweet, sugary tomato. You got even like I'm trying these without salt, but yeah, a little salt. They're just gonna really pop. It's a great tomato. I think we'll probably grow these green zebras forever until we find something that is better. But for right now, I can't see us not growing the green zebras just for the pure sweetness, taste of them. They're delicious. It's by far probably my favorite tomato that we grow right now. I should have planted 12 of them. All right, the Lowe's beefsteak that is not so beefy, but still sets pretty good fruit like you saw. They're a little bit bigger than the Romas, different shape. I'd have to weigh them to see, but still a good looking tomato. So let's slice this one probably like the proper slicing way. So you can see here, like this is what's nice about this tomato variety is it is very meaty for a slicer. Not a lot of pulp, not a lot of wasted space really in here. Good slices for throwing on a tomato sandwich if you want to make a tomato galette or different things like that. We have videos about making tomato galettes. Great thing if you're overwhelmed with tomatoes, like make a tomato tart or a tomato galette. So let's try this one. Slice this one a little thin, make a big old slice for me. So that's what it looks like. This would be perfect for a little ball of mozzarella and some salt, some olive oil, but let's give it a raw try. Good. Very tender, very fleshy, not as sweet as the green zebra, but a little bit more of that tomato acid, which, I think, like I said, would be great on some toasted bread, a slice of mozzarella, a little salt, a little balsamic. This is still a great tomato. I'm happy with this. Like I said, it was a clearance variety seed that we just threw on last minute from Lowe's. Good tomato. Would recommend. All right. Last but not least, the one I'm kind of most interested in. It's this black Krim. I know the sun's kind of hitting it. It doesn't look super black. See if I can get in the shade there. It's definitely not black, but we don't really know when to pick them. It's the first time we've grown these. So it feels soft. So I definitely didn't want it to get overripe on the vine. And it has this like darker red kind of purple coloration to it. You can see this one was like cat-faced where it was multiple blossoms growing into one. So it'd be kind of fun to cut into and see what it looks like. Very big tomato. I showed you guys in the previous little clip. And they've set really good fruit. Sometimes you get really big tomato varieties and they only set like one fruit per cluster. This one's set quite a few. We're going to be inundated with black Krims here pretty soon. They're starting to ripen. So let's give this one a try. Same thing, I'm gonna slice it. All right, this is what, I mean, I looked at pictures before we grew this. Look how meaty that tomato is. There's not a lot of pulp in there. It's a cool dark color even inside. I think this will be a great slicing tomato. Even, you know, if we have extras that we can't get to, I'm still gonna plan to add these to sauce because, you know, if we can't eat them all in slicing or for sandwiches or whatever we're gonna do with them, that's what you wanna see. Is a lot of flesh. Always makes a great tight tomato sauce. So these will probably get added to the repertoire for us, you know, in the future. They're fun to grow and they're huge. So let's give it a try. I cut a slice again. I'm gonna cut this in half. It's a huge tomato. So once again, no salt or anything, just the raw tomato out of the garden. Very good. It's definitely in between the beefsteak as far as acidity and the green zebra as far as sweetness. It hits you with a little sweetness right at the start. And at the end, it kind of hits you with a little bit of that tomato acidity, which is really nice. This is a very good tomato. This is literally the first one that either Beth or I have tried. I'm sure she's going to be jealous that I'm shooting this video without her. But this is a good tomato. Would recommend. Definitely delicious. I'm going to take another bite. Wow. Like I said, sweetness, like sugary on right away, followed up with a little acidity that you normally get from a tomato. So those are the 5 tomato varieties we're growing in our garden this year. You can see our tomato tunnel is popping. We did all the right things with the soil. We haven't pruned as heavy this year, so we have some pretty large fruit clusters. We're very excited to see where this tomato season goes. If you guys have a tomato that you think we should absolutely grow this next season, please comment, please give us like your favorites, because like I said, we're definitely looking for a new cherry tomato variety. Not that this one is bad, we just want something a little bit more poppable, a little bit more sweeter, a little sugary, you know. So I've heard the super sweet 100s are great, you know, sun golds are great. So drop your favorite one down there, or if there's anything else you think we should grow. I really appreciate you guys checking this video out. Like I said, this is something that I've been dreaming up this whole season, is to do like a true tomato review, because we all love talking tomatoes. Appreciate your time. Again, hit that thumbs up button for us. Subscribe for more content. We'll be with you guys, you know, every week if we can. Check you next time.